And
Are you good? Okay.
anything special you need to do to, it'll just come
No,
out.
you'll just, yeah,
Look,
and I can, yeah,
You do it this way or that way?
I think it's that.
Yeah,
I don't know, I just do it.
I like it a lot, yeah. That's nice.
Okay, everyone, thank you for coming to our Environmental and Tree Advisory Commission meeting on March 23rd, 2025. It is 5:04 PM. I'm gonna do roll call. Isaiah?
Here.
Scott?
Here.
Bill?
Here.
Jamie?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Linda?
Here.
Jody is going to call. Mark?
Here.
Margot here. Dave?
Here.
Rob?
Here.
And then we have Matt. Griggs here. Rick Gray. Is that all staff here? And then we got Chelsea here. And Nancy. If you're too close to me, I just... Okay, and so Casey sent around the minutes for our February 23rd meeting. Thank you, Jamie, for taking those. Did everyone get a chance to look over? Can I get a motion to approve those meetings, if so?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
All right, thank you.
I'll second it.
Oh,
Either
Phil?
one of us.
Okay. If everyone is in agree, can I get an aye?
Aye.
And
Aye.
nay, if anyone who's opposed? No? Okay, awesome, thank you. So we have a guest here first. Well, we've got a few guests here, but first, our guest is Todd. He's here with Partners for Clean Streams, and he's just gonna kind of give us an overview of what Partners for Clean Streams does and maybe a possibility of how we could work together in the future. I know Bill has put out those collection bins down along the river for collecting the fishing line for this time of year. And that was partnering with you guys, right?
Yep.
I saw on the sign, yep.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Margot. My name is Todd Duvall. I am the Executive Director of Partner of Clean Streams. Also live just right up the street in Maumee, so it's actually great to be here and kind of just share what Partners for Clean Stream does. Exactly what our name is. We do kind of community outreach with cleaning up, watching the waterways, monitoring. We work a lot with the Ohio EPA, but we've been around for 19 years ago. Yesterday was our anniversary. And just finding partners in the community that want to get around and gather around to clean up the waterways, bring awareness to what we can do just in our households with the companies around us that are contributing to that waste, contributing to the microplastics, contributing to the microfilaments, which, Bill putting up collection containers for fishing lines right before this week is a huge thing. It is an immense thing, and I think Bill put up 7 of them, 5 of them. Either way, each one is an amazing thing. So our role and something that we want to do is we look at Maumee and the partnership that is available. We don't necessarily have something where we've partnered with you guys in the past, but seeing an opportunity for either a partnership or a sponsor. We have a Clean Your Stream Day coming up in September, but also overall in education and community outreach. I live here in Maumee. One of the reasons I do is because the Maumee River is so integral to this city as well. So to find a way to integrate, there's municipality stuff as well. There's stuff in the municipality ordinance called MS4 that is directly related to sanitary sewer and educating the public with that. And that's something that we've done with other communities as well. So this is another way, even from a municipality standpoint, that we can partner up. So there's a lot of options, there's a lot of things, and just wanted to come and say, being a part of the community is great, and to be more as partners for Clean Streams and kind of clean up the environment and the waterways, especially in the city of Maumee, hey, that's the biggest thing. So.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you for coming. And we can connect to try to meet and see what would be some more possibilities. I mean, obviously, we do our monthly education events.
Yeah.
So we could do something like that. And putting out there that September day, kind of doing that. But we can talk more about it.
Yeah,
But-
so many people, actually, when we have our Cleaner Streams Day in September, are just already down here to be partnered with you guys and to kind of have more support and more community action just from the neighborhood itself and all of Maumee. Man, what a-
And hopefully, I mean, get up the number of volunteers, right?
oh, you bet,
And clean up more trash.
you bet.
There you go.
Linda, did you want to say something?
I just wanted, was your name, because I thought you said your name was Todd, but I see Jesse here.
Oh, so Jesse used to be the director.
So,
Todd what?
So my name is Todd Duval.
Ball?
Duval.
Duval.
Duval, thank you.
Yes. And Jesse is still the director for about another week.
Okay.
But it's been a,
I was just confused.
Well, that's what I said. Is Jesse here? And he's like, no, Todd's here. I'm like, Todd, I know Todd, but why is he here? So, well, thank you for taking over.
thank you, Margot.
Yep, thank you. Okay. Does everyone agree it would be a good partnership? Try to figure out some things we can do?
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like it fits nicely with things that we're already doing. So, and I was just talking to, through earlier, like with our education events, you know, what it looks like. We've got everything kind of penciled in, like for the whole year, our monthly events. I feel like there are still some that might be a possibility towards the end of the year that we don't have completely buttoned up yet. So we could possibly even do something towards the end of the year, depending on, you know, kind of the things that we already had in place. But if not, get it onto the 2027 schedule too. Yeah. All right, great. Thank you. So for old business, we want to give an update on our tree awards event. Our invitations have gone out in the mail and digitally. Jamie, do you want to do a little bit, or do you want me?
I just wrote down a few things.
Okay.
The reservations or the RSVPs are slowly coming in, but Stephanie said that typically it takes a little while for them to come in because communities have to talk about it and figure out who's coming. So we should expect more of them as we get closer to the date of the event. Margot did all of our graphic work, and it all turned out really great. The vendor letters went out, and we have 2 confirmed vendors so far. We do need to figure out how many people from Maumee are going. It is like almost a whole day event, so if you are able, please let us know. We do kind of need to get a grasp on that number.
Yeah, we need to get a count sometime soon.
Yeah, but everything is coming together really smoothly, and we're not meeting next month because it seems like we're in a really good place, so.
And for those who are coming, we're going to try to have everyone have some sort of Maumee shirt on. So if you have a Maumee shirt, great. If you don't, we have some options that we might be able to get you one. So let us know if you're coming or not, what size shirt you would need. And do we want to make sure we have that by the next meeting or in a couple weeks, or what are we thinking? By the next meeting, because it was our deadline, the 24th.
Yeah.
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 So if you guys could let us know by the next meeting, it's like start like 9 o'clock and around 2:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the next meeting would be helpful.
Yes, that would be great. So let us know if you're coming, and then let us know what size T-shirt you would need. And because we did budget to be able to pay for at least committee members. We have like a group, I think we budgeted for like 25. So between committee members, elected officials, and staff. But we need to know that with the budget, and we got to get we need to know kind of what you would, if you have any food restrictions, if you need like a vegetarian versus regular, things like that too.
Gluten-free.
Yeah. Okay, is that good for that? All right, and then an update on our tree ordinance. So we met with our ODNR Forestry Division people that help us so much to put together kind of adjustments we wanted for that ordinance. Alan has had that, and also maybe Jacob Barnes working on that. There's a whole kind of section that we felt didn't belong. It seems to be something that should be in our code, not in our tree ordinance. So we got to work with Planning Commission to do something with that before we change the ordinance completely, so we don't have like a period in time in which we're missing that information that kind of needs pulled out and separated. But we had mentioned to Alan and Jacob that we thought we could continue with working on the ordinance while that's happening with planning. So it sounds like Alan's going to be able to join our meeting. Matt, he'd mentioned meeting with you and Rick and Troy to kind of talk about a couple concerns he had. So I mentioned our meeting on Wednesday, so I think it sounds like he should be able to come by there and at least give us some input on that. So we're still working on that, but as our ODNR people assured us, like, these things take some time, just like with our urban forestry plan. So we'll keep plugging along on that. And then our street tree design master plan Excel sheet, we're still working towards getting those items put in. I've got a chunk done. I think Mark has all his done. Bill's working on his. Jamie started. And then Rob, were you also helping?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah. So just make sure to know, like, I've been trying to highlight the lines that I have questions on so we can talk with ODNR when we get to a point that we feel like we're in a good spot to kind of hit all the questions that we have. So just keep that. And we just keep kind of moving forward with that as well. Our education events for 2026. So our next one is April 21st. Linda will be doing an event about rain gardens at the library. We just finalized the flyer for that, so that will be getting put out there. May 5th, Nancy and I are with the library, are putting on an event called the Street Project. So May is Bike Month, and so this is talking about bikes and pedestrian safety and street design. So in particular, in this documentary, Jeff Speck is featured, and he's an author who's written a couple of books like Walkable Cities, and they're a guide that's related to that one, right? So he's a really great author. Those are really good books. I've read them both. So that movie will be taking place at the Indoor on May 5th, along with the library, because they reached out to us to partner. And then June, Jody and I are going to be working on a mosquito event. So we're wanting to do, show people how to do a mosquito dunk type thing to help with mosquito control on your property. It works a lot better than fogging and does not kill insects that we don't want to be killed. So it focuses on killing mosquitoes at the larva stage. So that's something that we're doing in June. And then Jody has something fun with a map that I don't know a whole lot of details about. So her and I will probably get together when she gets back from Florida, but we're still working on that. So just make sure if you're the person in charge for any events coming out that you get that information sheet that we've included in the welcome binder. Make sure you get Nancy and I all the information, like possible kind of titles, a blurb about you, potential headshot, another photo if it makes sense to include in a flyer, and things like that. And then we also need to talk about too for those, so we usually like to have our a table with all kind of information sheets for Environmental and Tree Advisory Commission. So working towards that being kind of one of the things that you're planning for as well, like being able to come and get that bin. We keep it up in the administration offices in City Hall before your event, just so that Nancy, it's usually Nancy and I that are taking it. So any help would be appreciated because sometimes we just can't, or, so, because we've been having people reach out to us about doing things with us now. It's interesting. I feel like we've been doing it long enough now that people are noticing, and they've come to us about doing events with us. So now it's like the decision of, do we do more events, like more than one a month, or do we push it out into 2027? I would love to do more, but if Nancy and I have to make it to at least 2 a month, it gets hard. So those are kind of like long-term things we can talk about some more, because like wanting to, fit something in sooner rather than later with Partners with Clean Streams, it seems to be like, well, maybe we can do it in 7 months. So we can keep talking about that. And then, so our Arbor Day observance. So do you have an update on the mini forest? Because that's going to make our decision.
Not yet.
Okay. Do we?
I have that this week.
Okay. Matt, we'll get an update on the mini forest this week? Okay. So right now, our options are, I wanted to put it out for everyone. So the last time we talked about if we're doing the mini forest, which is what happened last year, then that was a result of Anderson's reaching out, wanting to do an Arbor or a Earth Day event.
Right.
Anderson's donated money, Promo donated money. Who else did?
North Branch.
North Branch. And then obviously the city contributed
Yes,
the rest.
Right.
So with that project, we did the first of 3 phases.
3 phases.
So this would be the second phase. Anderson's is interested in doing it again, so we're just trying to figure out whether that's a possibility this year with the budget and everything. So we talked about if it is, setting aside a couple trees. So Stephanie, tell us if this doesn't fit the bill. So a part of that Earth Day event, we're like, well, we could set aside a couple trees and actually plant those on Arbor Day as well to kind of finish up and like present the kind of space since it's after Earth Day. So that was one of the options we talked about. The other option was there's a few spaces down along right off the White Street parking lot. So between the path and the locks that we could put a couple trees. So we thought that might be a nice place to add a couple trees. So we kind of had those as our 2 options right now. So I guess we won't decide tonight, and we'll see, unless you guys would prefer to do the White Street thing. Does anyone have any?
So that's a new one for me to hear.
Yeah, so the other spots, we talked about doing more kind of like street tree, not a forestry project. So the other spots that we discussed, we were thinking more of kind of like a forestry thing. But the last meeting we talked about, if we're going to do a reforestation, we should finish the one we already started probably versus picking a new spot. Or pick a spot that's more kind of a standard, like line a couple trees. So when Jamie and Bill and I were meeting for, I don't know, Tree City Awards or something else, we kind of talked about that. And we mentioned a couple spots we thought would be good possibilities. I walked down to White Street, and there are a couple spots on that point that a lot of people use it.
Sure.
That we thought would be a good spot to put a couple, if we do just do like a couple trees versus finishing the reforestation. So we thought that would be a good spot. So we wanted to come to the meeting today having 2 options essentially.
Yeah.
So along that point, planting a couple trees, or, having kind of like the finishing of the mini forest. So
Margot, is along that point any going to involve where they're doing that construction or whatever they're?
no. So they come out, you go down the parking lot, they go out the front. This is to the right going down that point, which they don't go down that way. So any preferences, or should we just wait to see what's going on with the mini forest?
I would wait for the mini
Wait,
forest.
okay. Is that the preferred thing?
If it's
Okay.
okay with Stephanie. I mean, with,
You can celebrate Arbor Day however you want,
Okay.
as long as it's public.
Okay, well, it will be that. Okay, so we'll plan on, if we can move forward with the mini forest, that being what we're doing, but everyone's okay with the option 2? If not, because we can't wait till the next meeting to confirm it. So should maybe
I think
Okay.
either of those options are good.
work, okay. Okay, so we'll plan on, if the mini forest works, we're gonna move forward with that. If for whatever reason it does not, then we'll go ahead with the other spot along White. So go ahead and check it out. I figure we have at least 3 up to 4 spots we could put a tree, and kind of along where the benches already are, like the swings, bench swings, so.
Just beware of some of that's Metro Parks next to
Oh, on that point?
Yep.
Well, that's a problem. Thanks, Josh. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's why we didn't.
To the left when you go down the hill, when you turn,
I'm
Like
not-
where the locks are, there's a boundary around the locks, it's not ours.
I'm thinking looking this way.
Okay.
Because you said the.
Okay. Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, but we would need to reach out and, okay. Do you have some contacts, right, at Metro Parks that we could, okay. Okay,
Mark,
yes.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Did your commission send have you or will you make a recommendation to send the code piece that you're worried about to planning commission? Because that meeting is coming up.
Send what? I'm sorry.
well, so I'm not sure if Alan's concerns are the part that would go to planning commission or if it's the part that would go to the tree commission. I asked him to send any of the things that he was concerned about to us so we could talk to our urban foresters, because it's all the changes that we're making are from their like standard
Sure.
document. So
Template,
they
yeah.
should be able to, if it's any of that, they should be able to speak to that and explain hopefully why it wouldn't be a concern.
The only reason I ask, if it's in zoning, part of the zoning.
Right.
It has to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have a meeting coming up. I didn't want you guys to have to wait another month.
It's not on the agenda as of now for the next meeting, so.
Yeah, we've not gotten any details into what the concerns are. For the past 2 months, we've just gotten that there was concerns. So hopefully at Wednesday's meeting, we'll find out more details.
Let me know.
Thank you. Okay, so invasive removal planning. So an update, unfortunately, we did not get the grant, is what I'm being told, right?
Right.
So we don't have the grant to help pay for more kind of tree of heaven removals, so that's something we're gonna have to, talk about. I did want to add something between F and G because I realized we need to talk about the River Fest. So we have a table at the River Fest, and thank you, Mark, Steve, and Jamie have signed up to volunteer. We need at least one more, which I plan on signing up, so, too. But we have, let's see, I think I printed out. So we've got a table from, setup begins at 1 PM to 2 PM, and then tear down is 4 to 4:30. So we divided that time into 2 different kind of chunks. Jody, can you say hi? Put her on speaker.
Hi, Jody.
All right.
Okay, you're there. Say
So much.
I'll sign.
So, okay. So I sent that Sign Up Genius link.
Okay.
Should I resend it for anyone?
No, I got mine, but I'm not, I could be out of town, I could not be,
Okay.
I might be in town.
You might just stop by
Because
and
it's
have
spring
fun with
break
us.
for the kids.
Yes.
So if I'm in town, then I'll be there and help out.
Okay.
I'll have to sign, I'll just show up and just, whatever help
Sounds
needs.
great. Yeah, okay. The same thing with that, we'll need the bin. We do need a table, and we need a tent, and we need chairs. Do we have a tent, Nancy? But you guys are having a table too, aren't you? Oh, no, you aren't? Okay, so we could use it. Okay, so, and
It's
then,
over in the storage room.
storage room, okay. And then I can get chairs and a table there too, okay. Okay, great. Well, if you guys want to stop by and say hi, anyone who doesn't sign up, we'll be there. So then our urban forestry management plan, so we're still working on that. we were assured that it's a process that can take from anywhere from a year to year and a half. So we just keep kind of plugging along with that. So, and we have finished a portion of it, or at least started it with our street tree design plan. So then working on the Excel sheet portion too. And then our urban forestry schedule, we're going to talk through with Matt and Rick and Troy in our meeting on Wednesday, so we can give an update on that. Sorry, this is just a bunch of updates. But then we do have our guest here from ODNR. We worked with them to put together some information that, was sent by Casey in regards to concerns that have just come up across over time. So we've got Stephanie Miller here, and who's our current Division of Forestry kind of person, and we have Haley as well. And then Catherine's here too, just because it's fun to come to mommy. So she's been in training with Stephanie. So Stephanie, if you want to kind of come up and have a conversation with us. So our first thing that we wanted to address are some concerns with the trees on the Anthony Wayne Trail. We kind of like our main things we were looking at was, or that I've heard concerns about, well, not just I, like from residents, from council people, from ODOT, is spacing, kind of species and size, and mowing and ground vegetation on the trail. So we put together this sheet that you guys got sent before to kind of give an overview. Yes. And then we also sent along a link to a thing that was done, was it 2019, when was that, or 20? So we got the packet that you guys got today, and Casey sent along today. The letter from ODNR is from April 20th, dated April 20th. So it was the result of in a 2019 Tree Commission interview and assessment with the Ohio Division of Forestry. So I'm just gonna kind of read this second paragraph. So Maumee scored the lowest in program quality of all Northern Ohio Tree City USA communities and nearly lost the city's longtime recognition as a Tree City USA committee. So that's why we included that link in, and our scores, just kind of for everyone to know and give background kind of where we're at and how we're kind of trying to come out of that.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think we were going to focus first on the trail,
Yes.
answer any questions, and hopefully help understand, come to an understanding on that. But first of all, I do want to thank the representatives on the committee that have been putting together the Tree City USA Awards program. This is something that we've been doing for decades now, or 40-some years, and communities volunteer to host that. And so it's really a nice thing that Maumee volunteered to host, and they've been great. I tell them every meeting, I'm sleeping just fine, which means that they're doing a great job. So thank you for hosting that, and hopefully we'll see y'all there, and you'll be able to see some of the things that other communities are doing throughout Northwest Ohio. So it's kind of a big deal. It's the biggest gathering of people that do urban forestry in this part of the state. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, we chatted. They filled me in on some of the concerns about the trees along the trail, some of the things that have come up. One of them being the size of the trees, that some of them are large growing trees that are going to grow large over time. Some of them are small growing trees. If I had been brought in to assist with that, I would have said all large trees. And the reason why is because large trees live longer. They're lower maintenance over time, which translates into fewer costs and expenses for our communities. And in addition to that, as we outlined in this summary, it slows down traffic. It's an ancient instinct, having that forest feel. It does something to our human brains that makes us more cautious. And so study after study shows that where we have large canopy trees, particularly the canopy over your streets, you have fewer vehicle accidents, which are extremely expensive for our communities. One accident oftentimes can pay for your whole urban forestry program in your community. And also fewer pedestrian issues and pedestrian vehicle accidents. And so it also serves to make your community more welcoming, which is really important. We all want people to come to our community more frequently, to spend money there, to stay more, and to enjoy your community. And then also, one of the big things also is helping to slow down the rain. We know that our rain events are heavier, they're stronger. The models are showing, we're already in that we've known for a long time. The models are showing we're going to continue to have more and more rain events. And so it's the tree canopy, those large growing trees, that help to intercept the water before it hits the ground, and then slows it down, and then the green space in which the trees are growing, that soil also works as a sponge to help keep our water management systems from having so much overload, which extends their life also. And we all know that's costly. So the question about why large growing trees on the trail, I think I answered that. That is the preferred size class for in there. With training, those young trees, we've had a young tree training class here. We had 2 of them this year. We had one, it was so popular, we had a second one, and we filled them both. One of them just overnight, we filled them both. And so with training, that trains trees to have a single stem with the main branches going off of it, and then raising that up gradually over time. It gets us our site clearances for traffic and traffic signals, traffic signs, all of those kinds of things. And so that's one thing that Mommy has been working on doing over the last year or so, adding that training component to all the young trees that have been in. And one of our mantras is, if you're going to plant trees, you need to have a mechanism to train them, just like puppies and children and anything else that needs trained. So you're already on your way for that, which is good. You'll be able to stay ahead of a lot of those issues, and that wouldn't be a thing. As far as the spacing goes, and the spacing not only from tree to tree, but also from the curbs, I got the impression that there were some concerns about the trees perhaps messing up the curbs. That's not the way tree roots work, so we don't need to worry about that. They're not going to mess up those curbs in the center of the right-of-way. They're just not, there's no soil there for them to survive. So that's not going to, they'll stay in that area. I wouldn't worry about that. And the spacing from tree to tree, it's a little close, but it's still acceptable. And then tied with that is the mowing concern, that there was concern about what to do with the mowing. And the Tree Commission, we are working with the Tree Commission to come up with some options. Perhaps it may be just all mulch. It may be clover, where you don't have to mow at all. So there may be some other options, but that's not something that's an overnight thing. But I understand the concerns of having people out there mowing. But hopefully the benefits from the trees that they bring it far outweighs those things. There are ways to address the mowing, to either reduce it or eliminate it altogether without having to remove the trees. But I am open to any questions, any discussion. I'll be happy to answer any questions having to do with the trees along the trail. And I do want to add one more thing in there, is that I know Bill was working for the city. He was laying out a lot more of those in the more recent years. And so he has done a little bit wider spacing and been more cognizant of that. So kudos to y'all for that. Yeah. So I'd be happy to answer questions.
So you say that the tree roots won't affect the curbs, yet we have trees in the city of Maumee that affect sidewalks and driveway approaches, so why would it not affect the curbs in that small area? And
Sidewalks, right. There's soil under sidewalks. There's soil under sidewalks, and tree roots will grow underneath those if the space is too small for that tree. We know how to site trees better today so that we don't put a tree that's going to be too large in between the curb and the sidewalk. And unfortunately, you inherited some trees that were missited decades ago. And back when Jim Query was on staff, that was one of the things he was working toward, is being more mindful of where to place the trees. And my predecessors both worked with Jim on that. So inheriting that, I understand that's tough. But the Tree Commission is cognizant of that. So, but the difference is that, yeah, we've got soil underneath those sidewalks. It's not as compacted and crushed, and so your tree roots are going to grow underneath that to the yards back behind it. Oftentimes, same with the driveway aprons. But your ordinances are very clear also that the spacing, no trees should be within a certain distance of those driveway aprons also, so that we don't have root and hardscape conflicts. And so those are, back in the day, what used to happen is people just kind of laid out the trees where they wanted them, and they were in relation to each other. So, okay, we plant trees 45, 50 feet apart, boom, 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 down the street, no matter what was underneath them, what was beside them. And so you ended up with trees that were too close to underground utilities, trees that were too close to aprons, large trees in small spaces, those kinds of things. But now we let the hardscape guide where we place the trees. And that does a couple things. First of all, it significantly reduces any of the hardscape, hard infrastructure, gray infrastructure, green infrastructure conflicts over time. That's a huge step right there. And then the second thing is that we, where was I going with this? I just lost my train of thought. What?
Tree survival.
No.
Well, we noted gas lines going into houses and stuff when we
so we
cited.
place them. Yeah, we place them appropriately and let the hardscape drive where we place the trees now, rather than. So anyway, so what you will end up with are actually fewer trees to manage, but a much more effective canopy, and that's ultimately the goal. Because a lot of times, too, back in the day, they just squeezed them in. So you'll have oftentimes 3 trees where you only have really space for 1. And the whole idea is to get that canopy, have it well managed, have quality architecture with that training, and in a good place so that they're not going to be interfering with the hardscape and the other pieces of infrastructure out there in those tree lawns. And also, to add to that is that in those tree lawn spaces, trees are the longest lived piece of infrastructure in there. Everything else ages out in the life of a tree. And so within the life of the tree, the odds are pretty good that a gas line of 20 feet away, if we placed it right, 20 feet away is going to need fixed or replaced, or a sewer or whatever it is. And so that's why we really need to be cognizant of where we place those trees, because we don't want to create an additional risk by going in there and digging up the gas line because it was too close to that tree that we planted. And now you've created an additional risk with a very valuable piece of infrastructure that is actually increasing in value. And it's also the only piece of that infrastructure that increases in value from day one. Everything else decreases. And so there are, but we know how to do that better now. We know how to do that really darn well now. And so that's where we're working with the city to make sure that as trees are being placed, that you're not going to have those infrastructure conflicts.
And we have some pretty cool visuals from when the Uptown was getting worked on of the, honey locust, when the ground was kind of pulled away and you could see the roots, and they just kind of went along like the wall that was the street.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And kind of filled the space, yeah. And then there's other types of options that you can do, the infrastructure beneath the streets. If you want to give the trees kind of more room for the roots to go, like you're giving them permission, right, to kind of go under. There's some of that plastic architecture we learned about.
The future of areas like your downtown, or uptown, you have an uptown.
Mm-hmm.
Your uptown is to build for both tree canopy to help mitigate the stormwater and also shade and bring customers to your town and spend more money. That's what we want, right? But also then to provide underground stormwater storage. And those together, that's the future of those designs downtown. But but you had that tree canopy out there, you worked through that, but you saw where the tree roots weren't able to get past that, and that's exactly what the situation is out on the trail. There's no soil underneath that street and road for the tree roots to even get into. They just won't. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, that was a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of a response to what Scott was talking about too. Is sometimes I know in the area where I walk, there's been several very, very large trees in the tree lawn that were cut down. And over a 10-year period, the roots that went under the sidewalk have decayed, and you see these sinking on one side or rise, so it looks like you get a big rise. And that there's no stopping that from happening.
Right, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that when you place, we have kind of 3 categories of trees. We have small, medium, and large growing trees. And when we identify those large tree lawns, you always want to put large trees in those if you don't have primary electric overhead. But they very rarely interfere with the sidewalks if you have those large spaces. But you don't want to put those large trees in those medium and small spaces, which is what you inherited.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But we also know, this is research from, if any of you are Ohio State fans, I'm a Boilermaker, so boiler up. But Ohio State did groundbreaking research on sidewalks and tree damage. And it was with the city of Cincinnati. And what they found was that most sidewalk damage that was blamed on trees was not the tree that caused it. It was actually how the sidewalk was constructed. Either the material, the concrete, cement, whatever it is, wasn't the right match for the soil type, or the contractor cut corners and didn't have the right thickness, and sometimes that concrete type was a corner cutting thing, and it wasn't at all due to the trees. So sometimes it's sinking, sometimes it's heaving and stuff like that. But and I'm not a civil engineer to know all that stuff, but that was groundbreaking research to recognize that, especially when we've worked really hard in urban forestry to help our communities put the right trees in the right places, particularly over the last 40 years. So were there any other questions about the trees on the trail?
What about the ones that are gonna be covering the street lights or the signs as they grow?
Well, they shouldn't, because the city's training them. So they should be growing up and over the streetlights, up and over that. That's why you have to train your trees. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure, of
Chelsea?
course.
Thank you, by the way, for coming and giving us this talk. I think the concern that I've heard from residents and other people as well is not just with the trail, but we just lately, how long is it? 5 miles, 3 miles?
Bike path.
Oh, to the bottom.
She wants our online guests to be able to hear your voice, Mayor Ziss. You know the drill.
This is a concern that I've heard from residents, and like you, I am neither an arborist, well, you might be an arborist. I'm not that, or a civil engineer. We do have a multi-use path that goes along both sides of the trail on both sides, and it has been noticed that some of those trees are planted very, very close to that. I think that was one of the major concerns, not to say, oh, we did this wrong, but if there is going to cause an issue or there should be a different type of tree, is there something that we should be doing now before it causes a problem down the road?
Yeah, just like the trails are very vulnerable to having root damage there, because you don't have even as much compaction underneath them as you do on a sidewalk, and certainly not with a street. That's why they don't go under streets. So,
They are
yeah.
concrete, just a heads
They're
up.
concrete.
Yes.
Yes, they're concrete. So, yeah, typically, I usually recommend getting a good 6 to 8 feet away from those, so that you've got room for a lawnmower to get in there, because you want to mow that. That's really important. And you have some species that are a little bit more aggressive than others. But so that's why that 6 to 8 feet is typically what I recommend. Yeah. Is that what you got out there?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
a little tight.
But it's
Yeah.
some that is almost touching.
Yeah.
We just laid that about a year and a half ago.
So were the trees there first? No? So the-
Yeah, some not, yeah.
But a lot of
Yeah.
Not even the smaller ones.
they were laid out in anticipation. for-
Yeah,
And then the path was
Yep.
put through.
So
Yeah.
that's-
right, right.
Trees were already in place.
Both the trees in the path, but I want
Yeah.
to make sure we do it so that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
You know, that's, if it's something we can address now before they get too big, if we can, I know it'll be extra time, but if we could move it, you know, I don't want to have to cut down a tree or have to redo a path, so how do you, what's our fix going forward?
Well, maybe we could do like a field trip out to the path sometime and check them out. Yeah. Make it
yeah,
sense.
that's what we do. Ohio's
Yeah.
one of the only states that has urban foresters that work right with your communities for free. It doesn't cost you anything, so call Haley.
Favorite.
Yeah, call Haley for free. Yeah, you get professional assistance for free.
We're working them really hard lately.
Yeah,
We see you guys a lot, which is nice for us.
you're in a building mode, which is nice. It's been refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Scott's question about blocking the lights and the signs, because one of the things that we talked about when we were going through our ordinance, the tree ordinance, is the clearances that we want on the sidewalk side of the street and on the street side of the street. So I think what we landed on was an 8-foot clearance on the sidewalk side and an 18-foot clearance on the street side, because you need to have room for garbage trucks to go through. So we should be training the trees as they grow to allow those clearances.
Yes. And that accounts for, it doesn't mean that the first branch is going to be 18 feet up. It's
yeah.
going to be even higher than that because you got to allow for sag in the summer and growth, and then there'll be continued maintenance to when there, if there does happen to be a branch that, oh wow, that didn't get up, you can prune that stuff back. And it'd be much simpler. It's a lot easier to spend 5 to 10 minutes on a young tree than it is to have to send crews out there and have to do a lot of pruning to get your clearance because the garbage trucks are hitting them, or we want to make sure that also officers, our law enforcement, can drive along your streets and see front porches. And what we know is that we need a minimum of 9 feet of clearance to begin getting that safety clearance, so that we have that visual clearance for law enforcement, and also encourages a lot of other great safety things. And the walkable communities, it ties right into that too. So a shaded sidewalk makes your community much more walkable than a blazing sun one.
So, and we're starting to work on the specs for pruning. Is that something that gets like repeated in there too, the clearance when you send people out? Or would that be the pruning specs, that template that we were working on just recently?
To give
We
to
started it,
contractors,
yeah.
Yeah, well, you probably have a series of pruning specs. You'll have pruning
We don't have
specs
any
that
right
are
now.
Right. So when you're creating they're your contract-ready specifications. So whether your in-house crews are pruning or you have to contract it out, everybody is following the professional specifications, make sure that it's done properly. And so for most communities, you need a few different sets of specifications. The most common one that we start with a lot of times is clearance and risk mitigation pruning together. So, okay, let's get any risk things addressed on that tree, something that could fail and cause injury, and get the clearance at the same time. You start there. And then next it would be perhaps it would be what we call crown cleaning. Because once you get your risk mitigated, then you don't need as much pruning done from there on out. And so we have what we call crown cleaning. It's more that let's catch the small stuff before it gets big stuff, and any of the high-risk things, and our clearance. And then, of course, your young tree training specs, too, that you're following. So those are the 3 most common ones. And once you have those specs developed, they don't change, really. You have them, and then they're contract ready each year. You just change where the trees are that are being pruned. Yep.
Awesome. Any other questions on the trail trees?
I have a comment. So for the trees on the pathway, so we need to do like a little mini audit to see if any trees are too close and refer to service.
They were saying they'd be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah,
walk.
yeah, it would be Haley handling
Yeah.
that. So you can line that up, have
Yep.
Haley out, walk that, see, identify. Yeah, there are going to be some species that are a little more susceptible to that, and others that are like, oh, no, we really shouldn't. Even within 4 feet or so, you're going to be fine. So it just really depends
Yeah, 'cause
on the species.
to remove a tree rather than fix concrete, which is expensive, is cheaper.
Well, removing a tree, you have a massive
Well,
loss too,
this
right.
early in their growth,
Right,
they're
or,
not
yeah,
that big
or
right now.
hopefully it's moving.
Hopefully
it.
it's
Yeah, but-
Yeah, relocate, yeah.
Yeah.
You might be able to relocate.
Not removing, yeah, relocate.
Yeah, and yeah, there may be a it's probably going to be a combination of relocating. maybe some trees, it's like, okay, once you start seeing that kind of move, that's what the tree just goes. And you buy a little time, and we can kind of estimate about how long it'll be. And then, and that's going to be species related too,
Yeah,
and
right.
distance. So,
Right.
yeah, that's the stuff we'll do with you, right with your own trees.
And we can, once we get a date and time, we can send it out. So anyone that does want to come out with us for our fun field trip, they're more than welcome. And/or we can give an update at our meeting kind of afterwards as well. Good?
Yep.
Okay. So then, along with that, it's the same sort of category. I mean, over the years on council, and then like since too, like concerns with trees and sewers. So since these guys were here, we thought they could touch upon that as well, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, and I kind of alluded to it as with some of the questions before. Yeah, you inherited trees that weren't sited well, for one. You've also inherited sewer lines that aged out a long time ago. And sometimes those together don't cooperate. And trees, I will say, trees do not break sewer lines. They're just adventitious. They take advantage of every time someone flushes and that effluent comes out that toilet and shoots through the soil, creates a fissure in the soil. They're like, ooh, wow, yum. And so they'll work their way down to the broken pipes. So, and that's oftentimes difficult for people to understand because, wow, all these roots are clogging this pipe. But it's the pipe that failed first. And so blaming that tree is really not it. So, but I understand that the challenge that you have because you have this really important other piece of infrastructure that you're trying to manage and catch up on. And so I wanted to clarify that there may be some trees as you're working through your sewer replacement. And we'll work with you on that too. We have communities that when they're going through their sewer stuff, we'll go and we'll do an assessment on the tree that's near I would suggest any trees that are within 20 feet of proposed work where a sewer line needs to be removed. We can look at it. Is the tree worth saving or not? You always start with that. If it isn't, you know what? Let's remove the tree. We're going to site it in a better spot so that it's not going to interfere with the new line that's going in. Added to that, what's really great about the new upgrades that you're going to have is that they're a lot less failure proof. I mean, you're probably dealing with mostly clay, tiles, and the lifespan of those is a lot shorter than the new materials. And so that's the good news. You're going to have trees that are sited better, but you're also going to have a hardscape or underground utility that's going to be able to stand up to the test of time and bring the lifespans a little bit closer together, hopefully.
Stephanie, can you say anything about the relining of sewers and how that would, how they would stand up to tree roots? Like, just curious.
That is when I've seen communities begin doing a lot more of that. They've been lining them, and then
Lining the old sewer.
But from my understanding, again, that is outside my realm, so I don't want to speak a lot to that because each line is going to be different. From what I understand, it really depends on the sewer tap and its condition. Is that even feasible or not? And that's probably going to be some decisions that the city makes as well, too. Okay, is this one we have to remove and replace? Or is this one we can line? Similar to the trees, is this a tree we need to remove and replace? Or can we work with what it's here? But I'm speaking a little bit a lot out of my,
Yeah, I don't understand
Yeah.
the material that the lining is made of.
Well, the biggest thing is there's no joints in
Yeah.
the lining,
Right.
so.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
time there's a joint, the clay pipe, there's access.
Yeah.
right.
The
Yeah,
lining's gonna
joints,
make it
yeah,
watertight.
Yeah, a combination of the joints and just the clay material. The clay material just over time starts to fail too. And
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
porous, it absorbs.
That's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Matt.
yeah,
I can speak to the lining,
there we go. Please.
unfortunately. Most liners are made of a fiberglass and a resin, basically. It's like a cloth sock that they invert into the existing line, and then they impregnate a resin in there, and then they cure it in place. To my knowledge, it doesn't really harm the tree roots. And then once you have the liner in place, you've taken away the problem, right? Because they want the water. They want where the pipes were leaking is what the roots were attracted to. So you take the water away, then the roots won't go there anymore.
It's a matter of cleaning before and then lining.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did want to ask you. So those little fine roots that do get into the clay tile,
Yeah.
are those detrimental to the tree if they get removed? Because
They
it's
won't be
obviously
detrimental at all. In fact, most of those fine roots, they're very seasonal. So they'll grow and then they'll die.
Right.
And then new ones come and then they die.
Yeah.
So a lot of those are cleaning out are probably dead anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So no, it won't be
know if any-
detrimental at all to
If
the.
anyone's ever seen those root balls that get taken out, they're like silky, fine little roots. I mean, they're not anything substantial. And they wouldn't be. I mean, if you get the big roots in there, then you really have problems.
Yeah.
That's one that you're going to dig up and replace. But the
Yeah.
ability to reline those is certainly going to be beneficial to the trees.
But then once again, once we get into, we're going to be doing a lot of lining. But if we do get into the position where we have a fix that needs to be done, we can lean on our ODNR, Division of Forestry people, and ask them to kind of come up to assess the tree, just like we do a lot of times. Trees in the right-of-way,
Right.
field trip to the trail.
Yep. And you've got your planting design, so you know the appropriate tree for those tree lawns now. And now you know you can space those out. It'll be nice. You'll be able to put the tree in the right spot. So it's even if it isn't fixed yet, you're not going to have those issues until it is lined. So you can still phase some trees in. You definitely don't want to plant all your trees at once because you don't want a baby boom. That's what you inherited was a baby boom.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And one of the things we talked about at the last meeting is that most of the issues we have with the roots and the sewer system are in the uptown area because it's where the clay pipes are. It's an older part. And that's the first section that's being relined. So this should be the part that's handled soonest.
Great. Are there any other questions I can answer for you while you got me here? Well, thank you very much. I hope
Thank
to
you.
see you on May 13th. It's going to be fun. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you very
Stephanie.
much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Steph.
Okay, so exciting news. We get to add something to new business because Nancy called me today. And I have that written. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna read her email. Is that okay if I read it? Okay. So Nancy got an email today. I don't know how to say his last name. Do you know how to pronounce it? So I see it all the time. Like, I think I've met him. But so we got an email from David. He's been a resident in Maumee for 50 years, and he's the treasurer and board member of an organization called Science Alliance for Valuing the Environment, so SAVE in Sylvania. He told us that every year SAVE nominates 9 awardees for their efforts in environmental ecology, sustainability, and spirituality. This year, we have nominated the Maumee Environmental and Tree Advisory Commission for the excellent work they have done educating the public about these issues for a category called Eco Community. So we got an award, and they're going to have the award ceremony on May 12th. So, Bill, we really need you to do your work and make sure that we can get into the Elks early so we can all go to the award ceremony on the evening of May 12th at 6 p.m.
I'll make sure.
Okay. Because I'm like, May 12th, wow, that date sounds really familiar. Is there anything going on? No, it looks fine. And then I'm like, oh, crap, that's when we're supposed to be decorating for Elks. So, yay, we got an award. they recognize, I guess, in like our community education events. So that's awesome.
Yay.
It's nice to get some good news. So May 12th, you guys check your calendars because we'd love as many people as we can get to come.
Where's it gonna be?
Council, mayor, Lourdes, the Lourdes College or the university? Life Center. Okay, at Lourdes campus, Life Center. Yeah. No, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. But I thought that was pretty awesome. So I was in perfect timing that we're having our meeting tonight to be able to announce it and then let everyone know to pencil in on your calendar, May 12th at 6 p.m. No, it says on here. Yeah, on the, let me double check. I thought I saw it. Yeah, so it is held at the Franciscan Center, 6832 Convent Boulevard in Sylvania at 6 p.m. Sabsack is his last name. So, and then that is it. So anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right. And everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to adjourning? Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
That's yours.